Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Welcome to all the guests. Saving lives and never forgetting the Daf, Yisrael Lichter and Rebbe Avram Friedman, two of the Kvuim in the Hebrew night cheer. The famous Joel Pollack, the author, has been with the shir for a bunch of years, maybe 4 or 5, I don't know how long. Healthy baby boy, Mazel Tov, mom is great, Jay. This we have two. He's also Reb Mordechai. He comes to the Hebrew shir. We don't have to play the whole video. That's Beseder. This Gershi Rose that he had a way to be melamed zchus on the airplanes, hafkas milva. It's not that I was melamed zchus, not the very. Okay, I think I said it already. I told you about the Elal meeting the guy had with the brochures. I think I said it. Did I not say it? I said it in Hebrew. I thought I said it in English. It's all one mish. Basically, the discussion was: does the suitcase cost, when you put extra pounds in the suitcase and you cheat the airline? You lift the baggage. Does the airline have a loss or not? It's not even the shaila really, because the airline said, this is our rules. Okay. But anyway, somebody that was here in the Hebrew shir said that he had a meeting with Elal, and he wanted to put these brochures in there, like these, you could buy stuff, and he'd split the profits with Elal. So Elal came back to him and they said they did a little bit of a calculation. And if they put a pamphlet like that in every seat, times all the seats, times all the flights, it'll cost them 20 million shekel a year in fuel. So every suitcase costs money. I don't know how much. Every pound costs them money. Maybe it's a pruta, maybe it's 5 prutas, but you can't say, oh, it's anyways flying. There's no such thing. It's 2:50 a.m., almost 3 o'clock, Motzi Shabbos. I wanted to update you that I was zeicha that my oldest son, Mordechai, is engaged on Friday. We just came home from Lakewood to Monsey, from the Chayalim. Reminded myself I didn't do the daf yet. Mit der Geschmack, geten lernen, he says. We go learning with the Geschmack. One of the first things I did, asking the Numa Chutin if he would start MDYing. Thanks for addicting me. Hershey Weinberger. Can't wait for the Shabbaton. Rabbi David Bechayev doing the daf with the rebellion on a flight to San Diego. I also noticed that the person next to him was learning something. I don't know what. Here, there's a sefer here. What does it say over there? I don't know what it says. No. His sefer in his hand. He has a sefer in his hand. He's saying, this person's saying that he heard on channel 14 in Hebrew, Yenon Megal, and one of the people on the panel, Yedidya Meir, was talking about the shir, and therefore here, this is Yedidya Meir. He's on TV, and he spoke about the daf, and that's how this guy got connected to the daf a few mesechtes ago. So Yishkoich to Yedidya Meir. So here's a very interesting thing that Yisrael Shalitsky sent in. He says that I mentioned the famous Noida Behuda. So he says that the Divrei Chaim of Tzanz follows the Noida Behuda, and the Meinag in Tzanz is not to say L'Shem Yichud. So Bobav and Tzanz don't say L'Shem Yichud. But here's the kicker. He said a very interesting thing. He says that Satmer, they say L'Shem Yichud, but on the yard side of the Noida Behuda, they don't say it in his honor. I have to find out if that's true. He says, Azois, I believe him. Yisrael Shalitsky is a great guy. All the best to you and your family. And then Dr. Meir Wickler. So I don't remember. Does anybody remember what happened to? I think he was on a bike. He had a bike accident or something. Because unless I'm confusing two things, Yisrael Goldstein, he just came out with a video. The famous Yisrael Goldstein, our photographer. He was on he bikes from B&H in Manhattan to Borough Park, back and forth. and he hit a pothole, not realizing it, and he flew off his bike, and he got 14 stitches right here. He has a black and blue eye, and the doctor said if not the helmet, he would have died, because the helmet is cracked in half. So now, Dr. Meir Wickler, I remember wishing him refuah shleima. Nobody remembers what happened over there. I sent you the following email last week as you were just winding up your HaTorah tour through Eastern Europe. You may have missed it, so I'm sending it again. Rebelli, firstly, let me thank you for mentioning my accident last month, for all the tefillas and good wishes. Maybe the Olam over the age of 40 should stop riding bikes. What do you say? My refuah shleima. Secondly, I'm grateful to be able to report that while I still have a way to go, I've already come a very long way, and Baruch Hashem now continue my rehabilitation at home. Baruch Hashem, refuah shleima. Finally, not that you need my endorsement, but I've successfully followed your advice for whenever one falls behind. More specifically, I fell more than 3 weeks behind during my hospitalization. When I came home, I did the current day's daf. And then, time permitting, I did 1 or 2 dafim I missed. I'm delighted to report that as of today, I'm fully caught up and on track to finish shots with you, Be'ez Hashem, your devoted talents in Soita, Dr. Meir Wickler. So, as we're approaching Rosh Hashanah, that's a little bit of a trap. That's a little bit of a Shalom Aleichem. You're still here? Wow. Nebuch and Taki. What's worse? The Shver Taki. What's going on here? Shem Yirach. No, I love you, man. Shalom Aleichem. How are you? Taki, I love you too. You're more mishpacha than the father-in-law. So, I have no idea what I was saying. Yeah. Anyways, the 3-day Yontif is where a lot of people fall. And that's why we need to prepare before we go into the 3-day Yontif. And if chas v'shalom, you fall, and you don't do the dapim during Yontif, it's not the end of the world. But the trick is not to try to make it up. You just do that day's daf, like Dr. Meir Wickler did. And later on, time permitting, and you always have time afterwards. But if you try to make it up, that's where the Yitzhar jumps in and kicks you off the bandwagon. All of a sudden, you owe 4 daf, then it's 6 daf, and then you just give up. The Chayalim of the month, sponsored by Binyomin Rosenfeld for Hatzlacha in business. The Masechta is sponsored for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. The Paras HaChodesh, Lili Nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, Lili Nishma Zechariah bas Yosef, is the Olam on Zoom. I have to mention that we're having a lot of tzaras from those Rishoyim Arurim. Not only do they send missiles, but they also come on our Zoom and they wreak havoc. They try to ruin it for us. They don't want Torah, and they do all sorts of things, and it's very difficult. They copy the names and they copy and paste. They pretend that they're from people, and they come in and then they do all sorts of things. So we might have to change the format. Sometimes some shiurim have, like, you get a code sent to your email and things like that, but it's becoming very, very troublesome for Dave, who's there night and day, because Gary's in America now. He's there today. He has to fight with them, shut it down, turn it back on. There's children on Zoom. We have to be super careful. B'kitzur. Paras HaChodesh. Myself, Dr. Moshe Tzvi Dauber, and Abba Rennert for the refuah shleima and safe, speedy return of our Chayalim. Paras HaChodesh, matching Rebelli's donation with zchut Chayalim for the month. Paras HaChodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld, for all the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should find him a zivug hagim b'karv. He's very, very young. He's only 22 years old, and he's sponsoring the Koil of the month and the Parnas HaChodesh, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should send him a shidduch hagun b'karov. Marc Horiwtz, a big shout out to the Ohel Moshe Rabbi Tiechman. Rocky's daughter just got married. Sebastian, Ben, the whole Pikesville crew. Warm thank you to all the people here that have welcomed me. I've spent a month here volunteering, Lema'an Achai, a blessing on state of Israel, bring home the hostages. Part of the for the art, for zchus, for rebellion, the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. Rabbi Sai, we're holding 4 lines from the bottom. Tanya, Nami, Hachi. Daf Peites, Amud Beis. So, we have a little bit of a sugya that's actually super easy, but a lot of times when we learned these type of sugyas in yeshiva, we checked out. Why? Because as soon as you hear the word lug and a sa, hin is what does it. Hin did it for you. Sa did it for me. Revi'ah Sahin did it for you. And you check out. Some people didn't get to Daf Tzadik. Ashi never did it, so we're good. But those of you who had trauma, we're going to reverse it. In fact, on Daf Tzadik Amud Beis starts Agadita for a day or so. And I just want to welcome, we have a guest from Austria. Where did you make Aliyah from? Vienna. What's your name? Remind me. Schnee? Is there an English way to say that name? Tzivion. It's like Israeli. You have a little roots here. Yeah. Okay, Schnee Tzivion. He's I don't know how to say it, a chocolatier. He makes these fancy, from Vienna. And he made Aliyah just recently. How long ago? A few weeks ago. Another one who made Aliyah. It's unbelievable. Most of the people in the room are Aliyah people from the last month. So here's a little bit of a video to start the sugya, just to get you in the mood. You should realize as it's not that complicated. It's actually very simple. It's math. Panovich math, the whole sugya. A half and a quarter.
3 kilo flour, please.
No problem.
No, sir. 1 second. Here we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's the sugya. You got it. Now you got it. Says I love bathroom humor. That's the sugya right here. You didn't chap? Okay, so we'll learn it again. Person is not allowed to keep a measuring cup in his house, whether it's a little bit more than usual, a little under the usual. If it says a gallon, but it's really 10% less than a gallon, or 10% more than a liter, whatever it is, it's aser. Even if it's a toilet bowl, it's aser. The chiddush is this guy. I just showed you. Mefurish is this guy doesn't look normal to you. He's one of the most normal people ever.
It's not a midah.
Yeah, but it is. No. It was. It used to be. Time out. It used to be. Yeah, exactly. It's not a. It now is. Now is. This used to be a measuring cup. And now they use it at home. They didn't have toilets in those days. That is the chiddush. The chiddush is the Torah says you're not allowed to have a midah that's wrong in your house. Says Rav, and the Gemara brings it now as a brisa that it's aser to keep inaccurate midah in your house, even if it's disgusting that people use it as a bathroom, because then you'll never measure with it. Says one guy. That is the chiddush. Okay, so now this is very, very simple. And the Gemara just goes like this. We don't really have to know all these things, but what could you keep in your house? If it was in English, or I don't know how they have it, but I'll tell you, you're allowed to keep a gallon, a half a gallon, a liter, a half a liter, a quarter liter. So that's all it says over here. One measurement called a saw. Here we have, here, let's just jump to this. Saw. A saw is 6 kav or 144 eggs. Okay, that you got? We don't have to remember any of this. Tarkav, a tarkav is half of that. As we'll see, it's usually each measuring device is half of the other, almost every time. So the first measure, the most is 144 eggs, and half of that 72 eggs, half of that 36 eggs, 24 eggs, 12 eggs, 6 eggs, 3 eggs, 1.5. Okay. On the bottom, there's a little bit of a problem over there, 1.2. So you have a tarkav. Tarkav is made out of 2 words. Tar is tray, which means 2. Kav is 1. Together, 2 plus 1 equals, even in part of it, we knew this, 3. So tarkav, tray, kav, 3. Half of 3 is how much? 1.5. So the next one is 1.5. Then it jumps to 1. It's not a half of 1.5. Kav. Okay, that's a full kav. Okay, chatzi kav, roiva kav. Okay. Avaloisa who saw. In other words, you're not allowed to have something that has 7 kav in it, or 150 eggs. It has to be exactly 144 eggs. Anything more or less than that is also to be in your house. Until you get to the next year, which is a tarkav, which is half of that, 72 eggs. 75 eggs, osler. Tarkav, v'chatzi tarkav, v'kav, v'chatzi kav, a half of a kav, v'roiva, a quarter of a kav, which is something we're going to discuss soon, the roiva kav. V'toimen, what's a toimen? Which is an eighth of a kav, which is 3 eggs. V'chatzi toimen, half of that, which is a 16th of a kav, which is 1.5 eggs. V'uchla, which is not half of that, which is 1/20th of a kav, it's a fifth of that, fifth less, 1.2 eggs, a fifth less. V'kami uchla, how much is a uchla? Echad mechamisha berevia. If we go up, where it says roiva hakav, 4 lines from the bottom in the chart, roiva hakav is 6 eggs. A uchla is how much? 1.2 eggs. 5 times 1.2 equals 6. So a fifth of a roiva hakav is a uchla. 1/5, 1 piece of a roiva hakav. If you divide a kav into 5 pieces, 5 pieces of 1.2, you have a uchla. So says the Gemara, Echad mechamisha berevia. It's 1/5 of the quarter of the kav, roiva hakav. That's it. Yoshi he worked hard to do this. I'm not exactly sure why. Okay, to make it a little bit more familiar with us, a kur is if you want to know out today's measurements. How much is a kur? 248 liters of Coke. Eifa is 24 liters of Coke. Sa is 8.3. A kav, okay, this is interesting to know, that a kav is 1.38 liters. We're talking about kav, 6 kav. We started today with 6 kav, a sa, 6 kav. Look, here I have a chart. This is the famous chart that could help people that want to remember, that are good at this stuff. Kas kalav yagoidu. So the way it works is, the chaf stands for kur, the al stands for eifa, etc., etc. Kur, eifa, sa, kav, lug, beitza. So, 10 eifa is a kur. A kur is made out of 10 eifa. A eifa, you go down. A kur is made out of 10 eifa, and an eifa is made out of 3 sa. And a sa is 6 kav, and a kav is 4 lug, and a lug is 6 eggs. Okay, that's how people like Rabbi Didi Kramer remember the stuff. So when you ask him, look, he goes, yeah, you go to, of course, the dal and the lemon. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Huh? He doesn't have to do that, right? Correct. But when he wants to be an honor, he goes, what do you mean? Yeah, okay. I'm sure there's people out there that can memorize this even today and make a chart out of it. And
it's caffeine levels. Caffeine.
It's caffeine levels. I got it. Oh, that you're talking about this one. Okay, I got it. Zogti Gemara. Now we're holding a very simple stuff. Ubemidas halach. Now we do the same thing. It happens to be that. Here, let's just take a quick look at this major chart, and you'll see it's not important. Again, this is not important to the sugya, but you could see very easily if you go from the eggs and you go left, the liquids are in purple and the dry goods are in green. You'll see a lot of the green and the purple are actually the same measurements. For a tarkav, which is 3 kav, is the same thing as a hin, which equals 72 eggs. If you go down, roiva kav is the same thing as a lug, which is 6 eggs. Okay, a lot of the midas hayavesh are equal to the lach. If we have the famous pasuk that we read on Yontiv. Here, I have it over here. Actually, I did it here. I forgot it. It's a good thing I put it in. So over here we have Chatziyahin, Shlishisahin, Revisahin in one pasuk. Those are all for the Karbanos. Anyway, so we go back now to the Midas Ha-Lach. Here's Midas Ha-Lach. Huoisa Hin. Hin is 12 lug. Then you have half of that. Chatziyahin, which is 6 lug. Shlishisahin, which is half of that, which is 4. No, Shlishisahin is a third of a hin, which is 4 lug. Revisahin is 3 lug. The lug, the chatzi lug, revius, ushminis, ve'echad min shmoina b'shminis. The Chayalim Rishonim had what's the girsir? the Rashbam is different gears. V'zeu korto. This is so small that the Archwell says it's a quarter of an ounce. That's this shear. Okay, so now, if we go back over here, let's go over here. Take a look at the top. We have a saw, which is 6 kav. We have a tarkav, which is half of that, 3 kav. We have a chatzi tarkav. The Gemara asks that we're missing a measurement over here. If we have, and we have 1. We have 1, 1.5, 3, and 6. The Gemara says we're missing the 2. Where's the 2? In fact, the Gemara's question is really that we have something similar in the lach. So why don't we have something similar like that in the dry? And it also kind of makes sense in terms of how we go. We have a quarter, we have a half, we have 1. So it should be really 2. The next step should be 2. 1.5 is kind of off over there. It should be 2. Yeah, if we start from Reva Kav, a quarter of a Kav, double that is a half a Kav, double that is 1, double that should be 2. Then it should be 4, 8, I don't know. But where did the 1.5 come in here? But the Gemara asks it should be 2. Also, to make it similar to the hin, we have a shear that's just like that in the hin. The 2 Kav. So here, ask the Gemara. Let's see it on the chart how it works. You have saw tarkav. Ask the Gemara. Where is it? I'm sorry, not here. Maybe over here. Okay, let's see. Over here. Ask the Gemara. Stick that in over there. It should be another shear called kabayim, 2 kav. Says the Gemara. No, we can't do that. Why? 11 nami kabayim. There should be a shear called 2 kav. You have 1 kav. You have 3 kav. So there should be 2 kav. Check this out. Says the Gemara. People might make a mistake between 2 and 3. It's too close to 3. You have to have more distance. Says the Gemara, why? It's only a third more. So that means people make a mistake in a third. If you have anything that's within a third, that's problematic. No, so the Gemara's question is, what about... No, so this is a third more. So as the Gemara, chatzi tarkav, and a kav is also a third away. From 1 to 1.5, the half is a third of is a third more. Just like from 2 to 3 is a third more, so 1 to 1.5 is a third more. People make a mistake in the third. So if people make a mistake in the third, so you shouldn't have a kav next to chatzi tarkav. Says Gemara, people confuse it with the 1.5. 1 and 1.5 can be confused. So Gemara says, you're right. People don't make a mistake about a third. What do they make a mistake? In a quarter, in 25%, not in 30%, 33%. That's not. Why don't we make a shear called kabayim, which is 2 kav? What's a chatzi tarkav here? Chatzi tarkav. Kabayim and chatzi tarkav is the mistake. From 2 to 1.5, or 1.5 to 2, that's only 25% difference. The 25% difference, people make a mistake. The kli looks very similar in size. They'll grab the wrong one by mistake. Not a 33% mistake, a 25% mistake. Almatay incha riva. Yeah, so far very easy, no? It's only going to get easier. So people make a mistake in 25%. Now let's go all the way to the bottom of the chart. What's the bottom of the chart? A 1/16th of a kav and a 1/20th of a kav. That Rabbi says less than 25%. What is it? It's a fifth. It's 20%. It's 20%, not 25%. Yeah? How many 20s are there? Or I should say, how many 4s are there in 20? Huh? No. Why? It's only 4. Between 16 and 20 is only 4. That's less than 25%. The difference between a chatzi toimen and a ochla is less than 25%. It's a fifth. Ask the Gemara. So why do we have a chatzi toimen and an ochla? People are going to get confused. Says the Gemara, when it's very, very small, those little spoons that the women cook with, or even men. Where's Eitan? Not here today. Those little, that people are not going to confuse. Because it's so small, you got to be really careful so people don't confuse. A half a teaspoon with a teaspoon, that people don't make a mistake. Ask the Gemara, shlishi sahin, revi'ah sahin, lo eved. That the difference between a shlishi sahin and a revi'ah sahin is how much? A quarter, 25%. From 3/4 to from a third to a quarter is less than a reva. It should be not allowed. We shouldn't have those two measurements. Says Gemara, even have a mikdash legozer b'rabbanon. Since it was in the Beis Hamikdash, there's no gzeira. Says Gemara, b'mikdash nami ligzar. Why not? People, the Chayalim will be confused. Chayalim's reason, not a problem. Chayalim are careful. Zrizim in this case means not that they're fast, they're very careful. They don't confuse things up in the Beis Hamikdash. They're very careful how they perform their avodah. They're not going to be confused. So again, the pasuk, just to show the pasuk, a larger animal requires a chatzi yahin, la par, ushlishi sahin, la'ayil, the ram, which is a bigger sheep, urevi sahin la keves, the small keves gets a revius, the large par gets a chatzi. Bekitzer, but the kohanim familiar with chatzi and shlishi sahin, revi sahin, Omer Shmuel. New sugya, rabbis. Okay, so we're done with that. Was that bad? Was it traumatic? Shkoyach no. Omer Shmuel. Easy. Omer Shmuel, what?
Easy after you do
Omer Shmuel, if everybody gets together and decides together that we're going to change the way things are. I'll give you an example. Here in Eretz Yisrael, when you go to the store, it happens all the time. Here you go. Check this out on the screen. Actually, there's a better one than this. Hold on. You did it. Much nicer. Oh, here. Here. This product, all the way on the left, contains 190 grams compared to 200 grams. This Bisley is 10 grams less than it used to be 70. Literally, you open up a potato chip bag today, instead of having 8 chips in there, there's only 6. And it says in the bag. You know, I'm not exaggerating. It's the same bag. What? Pesach ones, the Hanukkah ones. Look at this guy, this click. It's 65 instead of 75. Is that mutter to do? That's what they're getting together. The whole city is getting together. We want to purchase. We want the kilo to be 1.5 kilo. From now on, when we go to the store, we want the price to remain the same. We want the guy to make a bigger spoon. When he goes like this to the zchusim, he's not going to take out a kilo. He's going to take out 1.5 kilos. He's going to give me for the same price. Everybody comes together. You allowed to do that or not? Or fakir, or the seller, he's going to take off. Shut him down if it's the same thing. Instead of selling 1 kilo, we're going to make a smaller spoon. We're going to take out 3/4 of a kilo, 3/4 of a pound instead of a pound. You allowed or not?
No one's forcing you to buy. What's the difference?
What?
You're choosing to buy. No one's forcing you to buy.
Yeah, but you're changing things. Okay, so you know what the difference is? People that are not familiar, they come from out of town. Guys from Yerushalayim are going to come here to buy the pitzuchim. They're used to the spoon being like this in Yerushalayim, and over here they come. In Bet Shemesh, we have a different spoon. They didn't know. They have no clue. You sit there and look at the spoon every time. You say, "Give me one of those," and he charges you the same amount. That's the problem is for merchants that come from other cities. Omer Shmuel, maybe that's one of the issues. Let's see what it is. You cannot add more than 1/6. V'loi alamat beya yoser mishtos. Here in Eretz Yisrael, we're very familiar. In America, not so much, but they took whatever they had back then, that gurot or whatever it is, and they made it this. They made a new shekel out of a shekel. Everybody had the same issue. I'll tell you something that happened to me. You all know what I'm talking about. When I moved to Eretz Yisrael 11 years ago, I used to fly business class to America for 25,000 points each way. 25,000 points. What did United do? Instead of saying, "Oh, you don't have 1,000,000 miles, Eli, you only have 500,000 miles." It was much smarter. No, you have 1,000,000 miles, but in order to fly one way, it's 100,000 points. We can decide whatever we want. They literally went up, their price jumped. You remember this? I just found something, 25,000 points for business. Now, at least 100. So they devalued your points. So that's what you do to Matbeya. We have all these coins, devalue it. Now it's worth half the amount. Could you do half the amount? No. You could do a shtus, 1/6. United was over on this Gemara. They devalue by 50% minimum.
Because they united together to make it rule.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Vamistaker. And when you want to make profit, this doesn't work today, but everybody making profit, you have a store, you increase the price by a sixth. That's it. You buy for a certain amount, you increase it by a sixth. Today, I'm sure they increase it by what? 50%, whatever it is. They not a Sregan. Not yours, Sregan. My timer. So the first halacha that we learned, you're not allowed to add to the spoon, to the whatever it is, more than a sixth. Because you're increasing, you're causing inflation, you're ruining the market. So then even a sixth not. We have a problem. You were cheated by a sixth, and when you're cheated by a sixth, according to the Rashbam, it cancels the entire sale. According to other Rishonim, we always mention this, according to other Rishonim, you just have to give back the sixth, it doesn't cancel the sale. The problem is you have hundreds of buyers, of consumers, who their deal is not a deal. You have to go back and pay everybody back. You took more than a shtus, or a shtus exactly, more than a shtus is batal mekach. Exactly a shtus, according to the Rashbam, it's batal. The lehavi bitul mekach, the loy lehevi bitul mekach, shouldn't be a bitul mekach. So that's why we said don't increase it by 6, because if you increase it by 6, now you have a major problem. All the people that bought stuff by you, it's not a real sale. As the Gemara, listen to this, a major halacha that we need to know. Let me ask you a question. If I sell you something by weight, like this picture right over here, and there is one less Mike and Ike in this box, is that a no or not a no? A no is a sixth. If on the side, and the left side, the coffee, there's 2 beans less than 190 grams. Is it a no? It's not a sixth. It's way less than a sixth. So the mekach should be a good mekach. The answer is, the mekach is batal u'mevutal. Why? Because when I announce that it's 190 grams, then it's 190 grams. Anything less than 190 grams, batal the mekach. There's no halacha beina when it comes to weight. And when it comes to size. And let's say I sell you an amount. I sell you 12 eggs in a tray, and it only has 11 eggs. 1 out of 12 is not 60%, is not a sixth. It's batal mavuta. Why? Because there's a number to it. Not a weight, there's a number. So asks Rava, we're talking about weight over here. So once I change the weight, it should be batal right away. Forget about a 6, not a 6, it's batal. Rava. The Gemara asks, not Rava asking, the Gemara brings Rava. Anything that has to do with size. V'shebe mishkol, weight. V'shebe minyan, a number, an amount. Afilu pachzim de'ina chayzer. It's a mekach tos. That's what we call mekach tos. It goes back. So that cannot be the reason why the merchants in the city cannot get together and decide on their own that they're gonna make the weight a different weight. It's a mekach tos, whoever doesn't know. These merchants that come from out of town, they need to earn. How much does a person earn? We just said, how much does a person typically earn? A sixth. You're not allowed to earn more than a sixth, it says in the Gemara. Right? This guy travels from who knows where with all his stuff. He's buying and selling, and he doesn't realize that in this city they changed the measurements. And he's going to lose his sixth. Why? Because so up to a sixth, you're allowed to change the measurement up to a sixth. Why? Because this guy Nebuch wants to make a sixth. So if you're going to change the measurement on him a sixth, so at least he's not going to lose. He's going to break even. As the Gemara, what, the guy doesn't need to make a little profit? What, you're going to want to make him break even? Zabin v'zabin. All he does is buys and sells, and he goes back and forth. Tag reikri. Why is he doing all this work? So people should say in the city, wow, what a great businessman. He's unbelievable. He saw how much he has, and he sold, and he did, and he comes home with zero. I couldn't think of a great example besides our Shabbaton. So if the Shabbaton last year was to make money, which it wasn't, so let's say we're trying to make money, we're trying to earn a little bit, we only lost 6 figures, but I'm not going to say a little bit more than a shtus, in the 6-figure range. This year, Be'ez Hashem, not so much. Yossi said that Baruch Hashem, people are they're stelling too. But I have to tell you, it's unbelievable. It's usually just a few people from the whole Hamoinam. You have 20,000 people. One guy called up and says, listen, I have these 3 vendors, call them up. He called them up, and each vendor gave 5,000, 10,000. But one person sent in 3 vendors. He didn't have to make a phone call. No bizyonis for that guy. He just gave Yossi client information. So anybody that has vendors, pharmaceuticals, there's big people that have money to give to Maizdas, and will put their name out, but you just have to step forward. Just be that guy. Mr. Anonymous from Lakewood gave us names. There's people that care. Okay. Anyways, I'm just saying. Be'ez Hashem, when we have the right amount, Yossi says, I'm not putting it. He's not going online until we have until we're ready to go. Until he wants to get a certain amount of sponsors. Be'ez Hashem, this year we're doing it right. We learn from our mistakes, and it's going to be a Gewaldika Shabbos. Anyway, so if you have a good maisa, I'm ready to hear of Tager people. But you just walked in, you don't even know what we're talking about. Yeah, but what were we talking about? I need not a maisa stam, a maisa about Tagra Sabanikri. A guy who was doing business, he's buying and selling. He bought real estate, sold real estate. At the end of the day, he had 0 to show for it. It's a lashon, a famous lashon in the Gemara. So Nachamal, this guy, and the Rashbam explains even more. This guy came from who knows where. He traveled from China to sell his stuff. What? So the fuel didn't cost him. His time is not anything. Let's see even broke even. He lost money if he broke even. What about all his time and the fuel and the sandwiches and the this and the that? So why dafka shtos? So the Gemara, you know what? Forget our logic. Forget the svaras. We have a pasuk. Very, very simple pasuk. V'hashekel esrim geira. We're talking about, we all know that a mana, what's a mana? A mana in the Gemara. How much is a mana? 100. So a shekel, the mana of the Beis Hamikdash is a shekel esrim geira. Esrim geira. The Rishonim, the Yereim says esrim geira comes from this, from Boxer. How do you say Boxer in English? Carib. That there's a pit in the Boxer that's supposedly is very accurate. In other words, all the pits weigh the same, the seed, and they used to weigh with this 20 of these. That's what the Yereim says. Some Rishonim, other Rishonim. So it says like this in the pasuk: Esrim shkalim 20, Chamisha ve'esrim 25, Asara ve'chamisha 15 shekel. So let's do the math together. Esrim 20 plus 25 is how much, Rabbi say? 45 plus 15 is how much? 60. So 60 shekel, each shekel is 4 dinar. 60 times, or 4 times 60 is how much? 240. In Panovich, we used to do like this. 2 times 60, that we didn't know. So we do 2 times 6 is 12, and then we add a 0. So 2 times 6 is, or 2 times 60 is 120. And 2 times 120 is 240. That's how we did it. Okay. So we have 60, we just added it up. 25 plus 20 plus 15 equals 60. We even did it math for Panovich. Here we go. 20 plus 25 plus 15 equals 60 times 4 equals 240. The problem that we have is, how do we get to 240? A mun is 100. How do we get to 240? We know a mun is 100, not 240. So step number 1 is we got to chop the 240 in half. Got to chop it in half. It's a different shear. It's the shear of the Torah, shekel. This is 120. But we have a problem. It's 100, not 120. So what do you see from this pasuk? That the pasuk, at the time of the pasuk, they added to the 100. Instead of being 100, they did 120. How much? What's 20 of 120? A sixth. They went from 100 to 120. That's a sixth. But that's only a sixth in American math, not in Gemara math. Because that's the total. When you have 120, then 20 is a sixth of 120. That's milabar. But sometimes you do the math, a sixth of 100 is 16.6. So it would be a little different. It would be 116.6. But the fact that we're saying that it's 120 teaches us that the math that the Gemara does in the time of the Gemara was you take the total and then you divide it by 6. You don't take what you have and... Okay, so let's see inside. Daf Tzadik Amud Beis. Mana Masan Bar Baimav. So it comes out that we're at 240. Why? Because we did the math. 60 times 4 dinner equals 240. So El Shmamina class. You learn from here 3 things. Shmamina Monashal Kodesh Kafalaya. First of all, 240 is really 120. You have to divide that. Let's put that back over here. You have to divide the 240 in half because it's double, so we're at 120. But 120 is also problematic. Why? Because it's supposed to be a mana is 100, not 120. You're allowed to add, but the max is a 6th. Now, what kind of 6 is it? So, if you want to see how Yoshi did it and Kobe stayed up till still up now. You want to change it a little bit. If you take 100 and you divide it by 5, you get 20. But if you add one more on the outside, milabar means on the outside, now you have 120. So the 6 is on the outside. We're talking about 100, and it became 120, the 20 is on the outside. Shish's milagav would be that the 6 is within the 100. So 16.6. So it's within the 100. Or here's another way to look at it. Shishim Labar, this Kobe did. You divide it by 5 and you add it to the top. Here, 5 plus, we got on top. Sachakol. Okay. Fine. So the bottom line is, we learned that when you change the measurements, you can't change it more than a 6. How do we know it? From a pasuk. The pasuk tells us 60, which is 240, which is a half, is 120, and 120 is a 6th more than 100, and that's all you could do. That's all you're allowed to add. Sponsored by Yaakov Citron, who's sitting almost in a seat over there. What's that tzaddik's name next to you by the wall? I forgot his name. He's a very big addition to our shir. He's been here for a few months already. Yaakov Itzkowitz. Shalom Aleichem Yaakov Itzkowitz. I hope to remember your name. Very chashuv individual. Yeah. Zot Gemara. Rav Papa Bar Shmuel Takin Kayola Bar Tlasa Kipizi. Okay, now mamish easy. Rav Papa, he instituted a new measurement called, we'll see in a second, I don't know what it's called, but it's 3 kapizi. Kapizi is 3 lug. So this is a total of 9 lug. This is 9 lug. Bar Tlasa Kapizi. Sorry. Each kapizi is 3. This Bar Tlasa Kapizi, it's 9 lug. Yeah? A 9 lug measurement. So you went from 3 to 9. Times 3, 300% increase. Yes, is that how you do it? No, something like that. How do you jump from 3 to 9? You're allowed to add a 6th, not hundreds of percent.
It's not adding. This is something else.
What? Why?
It's something else.
What do you mean something else?
This didn't exist. Meaning you
Yeah.
add on something.
Time out. Could you go from 1 kapizi to 2 kapizi? That's more than a shtos. He went to 3 kapizi. I know, maybe this is what you're trying to say. I know I jumped so much. It's in its whole different atmosphere. It's not within the measurement. It's not like you have a half a teaspoon, it comes in the same set. Here, this is the set that you measure stuff for your cake. And this is something you measure for trucks. I don't know what. This is a shovel for a tractor. What's the shaykhs? This is a different thing. This is a 9 lug thing. So they try to send this logic to Pumbedisa of Lekablu. They said, no, it doesn't work. You can't add more than a shtos. And they said, yes, it's good. The Korele, Ruz Papa, so they had its own name, so not to be confused with anything else, it was called, after Rav Papa, Ruz Papa.
It sounds like it's after Rav Papa.
I thought that, but I didn't want to say anything. Because they accepted what he said. They accepted his stuff. Maybe it was named Papunya after that. Simen, oitzrei peiros, ein oitzrim ve'ein moitzim. These are the simen to remember all this. Ve'im stakrim pamayim bebeitzim matriyim v'lemitzim. Torah. So here's a gadta. Oitzrei peiros umalve beribis. People that hoard fruit. In other words, I'm going to see throughout the sugya. What it means is, there's a mashal, a guy, a true story in China. The guy wanted to make a lot of money. There was an area that all they ate there was corn. He went and bought up all the corn from all the wholesalers, everything. And then he wouldn't sell it. And then when he sold it, and they were very, very poor. You know, they are in China. A lot of these areas are extremely, there's a lot of poverty. So then he hiked up the prices. And what happened was many, many people, I don't remember the amount, many people died. They couldn't afford it. They just died. They didn't have corn. Boof. That's what this guy did. Oisri Paris. It's specifically to buy up produce and then charge more. If you are a farmer and you want to hold your stuff and introduce it to the market at a later date and charge more, that's okay. But if you're not a farmer, you're just a businessman, you're an entrepreneur, and you go to all the farmers and you gather all their produce, and then you hike up the price, that's awesome. Oitzri Peiros, Umalve Beribis, and those who, Seiskim L'Shalom, the F-16s that we hear overhead, the entire shir, should have Atzlacha, come back. Umalve Beribis. I hope they get that guy that's the Zoom bomber, that's also very important. Umalve beribis, umaktine yefa. Those people who lend with ribis, umaktine yefa. Those who take measurements and make them smaller. Umafkiye sha'arim, and those who play around with the markets and the pricing. Aleim akasav oimer. There's a very, very strong pasuk. It says in the pasuk, we have to see the pasuk right before. Pasuk Daled in Amos, Shimu zois hashoyafim evyoin. V'lashbis ani ye'aretz. Leimar. Masa yavar chodesh. These people say to themselves, I can't wait until next month. V'nashbiro shever v'ashabas v'niflich habar. We're going to sell our stuff next month. So those people are terrible. Again, these are people that are buying up in order to sell later, not the farmers themselves. Moshe Yavar Chodesh v'nashbiro shever will be mafkia the sha'arim, will break the market, v'hashabos v'niftach habar, and will keep the fruit by us, will hoard the fruit. These are the fruit hoarders. Lahak denefa, ulahag dehir. Lahak denefa are the people that make the measurements smaller. Ulahag dil shekel, these are the people that take ribis. Ulaaves moiznei mirma, and these are the people that break, that change the weights. What does it say about that? Nishba Hashem b'goyin Yaakov, HaKadosh Baruch Hu swore, Im eshkach lo netzach, I'll never forget forever. Kol ma'aseim, all their deeds. Oitzer Peres Kigoyin Man. Who's a good example of Oitzer Peres? Or Rabbi Yochanan Kigoyin Shapsei Otzer Peres. This is a guy, Shapsei, he used to go and collect fruit and then sell it later for a higher price to the poor people. In Masechtas Yuma, it says that there was a woman who was pregnant and she wanted to eat on Yom Kippur. So they told her, hey, it's Yom Kippur, you're not allowed to eat. I'm talking about that it wasn't Pikuach Nefesh, not the last week or whatever that people are, where a woman has to fast. But she said, I'm pregnant, and she ate. So the Gemara says, we know that she's going to have a son in Russia because of what she did. And who came out? This guy. Shapsei Yitzar Peres. Avu the Shmuel, Mizabin Lula Peri B'tara Charfa, Ketara Charfa. So if I told you these two stories, you probably would guess wrong. But because I'm asking you the question, you're going to guess right, because you know that I'm going to ask you the thing. Who's a bigger tzaddik, Shmuel or Shmuel's father? Shmuel's father would sell fruit in the early season of the fruit. Fruit usually means wheat, something that could hold a long time. Kisara Charfa. He charged the normal price for the normal market in the early market. The early market, when wheat is really, really cheap, he charged a really, really cheap price. Did he do anything great? Doesn't seem like something so great. But what he didn't do is, he didn't hold on to his wheat and sell it for more money later on. What did his son do? Shmuel Berei, Mashil Peir. Shmuel's son would leave his wheat for a long time. Umizabin lehu betara afla, and he would sell it later on in the season when there was no wheat in the market, ketara charfa, for the cheap price. So who's the bigger tzaddik? He held on to his wheat, sold it for cheap in a very high market. He'd sell for cheap.
The father made everybody else make it lower also.
So that's what the Gemara is saying basically. Something like you. Huh?
Shmuel's hurting the other businessmen.
But that's not what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara says, I hear what you're saying. He's
Very nice.
hurting other businessmen, but he's helping the Aniyim
You're hurting
live.
him, you're helping him.
Okay. Shalchu mitam. So they said, I guess from Eretz Yisrael, Tava the Abba midibra. The father did better. My time, Tara the Rovach Rovach. When the market is low and you add to that and you keep the market low, so then the market stays low. It's very hard for the market to go up while you're flooding it with merchandise. So he helped the market stay low. Yes, the son, he tried to help out the market when the market was high, but he's not going to change the market. That's the point. One individual, one farmer is not going to change the market. The market is high. Okay, so he did a favor to a bunch of poor people that bought his produce, but he didn't change the market. The father helped the market change. Omarav, Oisodem is Kabe Yoitzer. And that's the halacha that we learned in this passage in Shulchan Aruch, that you're allowed to keep, you're the farmer, you're allowed to keep your stuff and jack up the price later on with your own stuff if you didn't buy it from the market. You're not allowed to hoard fruit, things that are staples. Wine. Who can't live without wine, especially in the time of the Gemara? As Rabbi Schoenberg explained this many times, that the water, people that drink even today, you go on a hike and you drink water, you could die from it. Who knows what kind of parasites are in the water? You have to heat it up. In the time of the Gemara, they couldn't drink the water, so they would add the alcohol into the water to kill whatever parasites. People drink a lot of wine then. Even the water had to be with wine. Shmonim, oils, uslasois, and the flour. Aval tavlin, that you're not allowed to, these are the things you're not allowed to take advantage of. Aval tavlin, if you spices, kamoin, cumin, cumin, I don't care. Just take as much as you want. I don't care the price. Upilpilin, pepper, mutter. If you have real estate and you have certain people that use cumin, the whole hallway smells like cumin. It's noirvayim. Here it says mafurish. If you purchase in order to jack up the prices, then it's who's that guy that did something to the English currency? Wasn't there a guy that bought up the whole currency or something? Who was it?
George Soros.
Oh, that's how George Soros made it. Was it England?
Yeah.
How many years? That was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
That's how he made his money. He bought up the currency. One guy. Maybe he wants to give something to MDY. I'm not going to take his money. Not taking his money. And you're allowed to... No. You're allowed to hoard fruit, meaning, what does it mean, Rabbi Isai? Even to buy it from the market, which typically you're not allowed to. In this case, to help the Shemitah people, you're allowed to. Beretz Yisrael, Shalishanim for 3 years. Erev Shemitah, Erev Shvius, which anyways is fruit, so you're buying and you're giving a little bit then. And Ushvius, for Shemitah itself, which you're not allowed to plant, you definitely need produce. Umatzai Shvius, again, you're not allowed to plant whatever you planted on Matzah Shvius is going to take months for it to grow. So you need to help Klal Yisrael. Benny asked a good question yesterday. Isn't it important? He's supposed to rely on Hashem. Hashem said, I'll give you double, don't worry. So maybe that's exactly what the pasuk means. I don't know. And when there's famine, afilu kav charuvim lo ye'etzar. Oh, and this goes where boys say, even your own stuff, you're not allowed to hoard. Before he said, even to go and buy from the market, you're allowed to help people in Shemitah. Now we're now saying, your own stuff, you're not allowed to hoard for a minute, lo ye'etzar. Why? You cause panic in the marketplace. 2 more lines. Rabbi Yosef told his shamish, Puk atzarli peri shalishanim, go out and get me fruit for 3 years. Erev Shemitah, Erev Shvius, Ushvius, Umasoi Shvius, says the Rashbam, because he held that the Kedusha is La'asad Lavi as well. The Kedusha that Eretz Yisrael had is La'asad Lavi forever, and Shemitah is Daraisa, and Mela hold the fruit for 3 years. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.